everyone, those of you who just joined us, why don't you just give us a wave, say hi, give us a thumbs up, let us know you're around. We are more than happy to take your comments. My name is Thomas, in case you don't know, but the host today, the most important person is Bruce, who will introduce us.
Good afternoon. Do a shout out to us in the comment section so that we know that you guys are supporting us. A lot of interesting data and stats from all the top industry experts all ready today. Okay, good. Seeing all the comments, all the enthusiasm coming in. We noticed that the signups, most of the signups were from a lot of agents. So I guess a lot of people are very keen and interested to find out how is everybody doing, where is the market going. People are looking around for answers, hearing many differing views from many different parties. So many different presenters sharing their views. So today, all data-backed views from all the industry experts as well.
Very good. Good afternoon. I can see many of you are in. Eric, Leslie, Adam, Michael. Yes, good. Everybody, good afternoon. Someone is saying hi to Thomas. Hi.
Thomas, you're well liked. One request to everybody on Facebook, do share this stream, share it on your profile as well, so your friends can see it, they can come in and they can enjoy and learn from this session today. Thomas, you're wanted again. Good afternoon, Thomas from Ben Wang.
Hi, Ben. How are you?
Okay, we wait another minute. We have hit 100 viewers as of now, so we just wait another minute and we will get started. We'll get the ball rolling. Okay, good to go. Let's already. Good. Okay. So very good afternoon to one and all. Thank you for spending your afternoon with SEAA. Actually, for those of you who lost track already, right? What day is it today? Some days I also lose track. What day is it today? Okay, TGIF is actually Friday. Happy to see a lot of fellow agents tuning in today on FB Live. I think some of you, if you're looking for answers, directions in various segments, today, what is lined up for you? The association actually put together a very good lineup of research experts from various market segments. Okay, basically to enlighten us and to even show us data-backed research on possibly the way moving forward. So, a very big thank you to Dr. Lee Nai Chia, Wong Sen Yang, and Thomas Tan, and as well the guys from SEAA for making the time to come together, share more with our agents and our participants today. Okay, so the agenda for today is very simple. We will first have Dr. Lee sharing with us some research data on residential market. Then next, we will move on with Sen Yang, who will share with us on commercial industrial outlook and basically and the ways moving forward. Okay, and then in closing, we would actually have Thomas, who will most importantly be sharing with us his crystal ball analysis. Okay, and subsequently to wrap up, what we will do is we will do a short Q&A where you can reach out to us individually or you can throw your questions to the panel and to hear their thoughts. Okay, so to start, we first have Dr. Lee Naijia. Dr. Lee is Deputy Director of the Institute of Real Estate and Urban Studies, so IREUS, right? So before joining IREUS, he headed the research departments in Knight Frank and ETC. Okay, he led the department in producing quality market intelligence, a lot of research bulletins, commentaries, and in terms of his knowledge sharing, he's always very, very sought after in various public seminars and events. Some of them I've attended as well. Okay, and with this, he is a graduate from MIT with a PhD in urban and regional planning, and assistant professor, and was an assistant professor in the Department of Real Estate in NUS. So today you're going to talk about what's going to happen in the residential market, right? We have seen a volume drop and things like that. So I think I will hand over the time to you so you can share with us the similarities, differences between this pandemic as compared with the global financial crisis, SARS outbreak, and Asian financial crisis.
Sure. Thank you, Bruce, and thank you the association for inviting me to come and share some of my thoughts. Maybe let's go to the next slide. So what's next? I mean, I think now we think about the pandemic. There's a lot of course, comments about how's the market is like and what's the impact on the market. I think the impact on the market is very clear. The question is, from here, where should we go? And of course, a lot of references is made to the past, different crises that we have seen in the past. What is the key differences, and what kind of a recovery are we expecting? You know, the L-shape, U-shape, and V-shape kind of recoveries, and what, of course, also quite covered, at least in the macroeconomics, but what in terms of the real estate market, how each scenario will pan out, that of course will be another question we will talk about. The other thing is we talk about some potential events that will complicate matters. Of course, we'll see that why certain things that are happening that may actually make things a bit more complicated, but at the same time, I think there will be certain opportunities, and for each scenario, how can we actually plan ahead? And lastly, I sort of like future gaze a bit on how this post-COVID-19 has on this residential market, and especially on how people look at space. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So before the pandemic actually outbreak, if we see from 2019, sales have been fairly weak in the first half, and the reason is because due to the cooling measures that were initiated in the second half of 2018, and that actually brought sales come down, and we see that prices actually sort of weakened a bit. But the thing is that there's still a lot of capital in the market. Buyers are still very, interests are very strong, and we see there's actually uptick in sales in the second half 2019. You see 19 Q2, 19 Q3, even 19 Q3, the sales is actually much higher than in 2018 Q3. It's very significant because in the past, when we think about the Q3 sales, in the third quarter, it's usually lower due to various reasons. Could be National Day holiday. It could be also due to the what we call the ghost month. Although research has shown that the ghost month effect has really weakened significantly. So what happened is that then in, of course, Q4, things start to slow down due to the festive season. But if we compare to 2018 Q4, sales are still very, very strong, showing that there's a lot of latent demand. And I think during this second half, you see a lot of sales of even the GCBs and landed homes. Now, things start to change a bit towards the end. I remember it's still December of 2019 where we see quite a fair bit of events coming out. First and foremost, at the point in time, the first thing that caught my eye was actually the US and Iran Middle East tensions. Because the US go and kill one of the generals, one of the key personnel in Iran, then that definitely has an impact on oil. But the issue was actually sort of resolved very fast, very interestingly. Now, the second thing that is caught my eye is actually when they first announced this COVID-19, they still call it coronavirus, SARS-2 or something like that. And that thing actually triggers me a cold shiver down my spine. I can't, at that point in time, the impact is still not very obvious in Q4, but it just sent me a shiver. And the shivers continue to persist, obviously, until March. It sort of like tells me that something is really not right, okay? But interestingly, we do see that in terms of price index wise, on a year-on-year, it's still, in Q1, it's still performing relatively well, especially for the January and February. The issue starts to appear in the March and the April months. Now, let us go to the next slide. Sorry for this one, suddenly become a bit dark. But if we look at this chart is very interesting because it actually tells you all this is from URA release price indices, and you look at all the indices, actually it's still pretty flat and still on a high side. But what is very intriguing is that the one that dropped most is in the CCR. That tends to be true nowadays when we look at the markets for various reasons. First is because they are more expensive in terms of quantum, and because of ABSD, TDSR, the kind of impact seems to be there. But the truth to be told is actually what is being transacted is probably not the super prime or super luxury. So when they form these indices, what is being reflected could be some resale of the older properties. So the pricing wise may not be that attractive. And second thing is these people probably are those that has bought in sort of like in 2010, so about 10 years before. And so to them is maybe by lowering slightly, they can actually, it's okay because, you know, they find that maybe this is a good time to cash out or whatever. So they are more willing to lower the price. Now, for the others, the interesting part is the, if you look at the outside central region non-landed and the rest of central region non-landed, prices are still largely very stable in that sense. So you can still see that the market hasn't moved that much yet. Now, let's go to the next slide. Okay. Now, in terms of where people are buying, okay, say in 2020 and 2019, you can see that actually, while sales are generally lower across the board, I mean, this is quite obvious because of the circuit breaker measures and also because individual sellers or owners are also more concerned, right? They if you tell them that, hey, can I do a site house inspection, house visit, they are also more worried and concerned. So I think generally across the board, sales went down. But if you look at it very closely, the people's preferences are still largely the same. You can sense that, you know, places that have been popular a year ago is still quite popular a year later. And they are popular for different reasons. Of course, you see that the Tampines area is very popular. It's not because I stayed there. The reason I stayed here is because my wife's parents stay here. That's all it. But I think the main reason for it being that popular is also because of the affordability, affordable prices, and it's also, you know, within a very established estate. The central areas continue to be very popular. Again, although in terms of sales drop is much, you know, quite a fair bit. But then we still see quite a number of successful launches in the months of Jan and February. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So during that time, I mean, for the last year till February, before the pandemic happens, Singapore is being viewed as this safe haven. And partly it's because in 2019, there's this trade war. And I think China economic growth is affected. US economic growth is affected. And so everybody start to look for, a good place, to sort of like purchase certain assets that have certain wealth preservation attributes. And of course, Singapore is quite safe. And then the market fundamentals are relatively strong. The government is stable. So that actually helps quite a fair bit. And so you see in terms of, even in terms of foreigner sales, right, which is actually the gray color one, it forms not a lot, but you can see that in Q2 and Q3 and Q4, they are actually quite high. And there's some significant increases in terms of the sales. So again, safe haven, and there's a lot of reasons to be so. Now let us go to the next slide. Okay. Now, and we also see certain high-profile purchases. This is, of course, James Dyson. He bought the Penthouse, and then it was also reported that he bought another GCB. So again, that is the things that is been going on. Singapore really being a safe haven. And if you look at different types of asset, just look at equities alone. Equities during this period of time in 2019 was extremely volatile. No thanks to Donald Trump. Every time he one tweet that we are going to fight with China, and then the stock market will crash a bit. Then after that, say, oh, we are close to a trade deal, and then the market will climb out a bit. So to a lot of people, real estate seems better because it's a much safer asset. So this was the time you see a lot of foreign interest. You also see a lot of people buying better assets. Okay, next slide. So rental market is also another bright spot that we saw even up till the first few months of 2020. And the reason is because the vacancy rate has really came down quite a fair bit, partly helped by in terms of completion. So if you look at the right hand side chart, the number of units completed has really dropped significantly, and that really helps support the rental market. And I think the rental market is expected to continue to go stronger because a lot of people also, because of this COVID-19, are likely to withdraw their listings. So demand may be quite high, and then you will see fewer and fewer units available in the market for now. So I think definitely this is another one of the bright spots that we are seeing and should continue to see. Let's go to the next slide. And of course, the good news is towards the end of first Q, what do we see here? We see that actually in terms of supply of unsold home is actually coming down. While it's true that in 2018, 2019, we talk about all this unsold supply and that whether the market will be inundated with supply of units, but we have seen ever since then seen it coming down, and some of the projects are still moving. They are just they are continuing to sell at quite a reasonable rate, like the likes of Florence Residence, the likes of Jadescape, which did well in Q1, and we expect this to continue for most, if not all. So if you look at it, supply is coming down. In fact, it's soon to be going down quite steadily to the 2015 levels or 2014 levels. Now let us go to the next slide. So these are all before COVID-19. Now, of course, with COVID-19, the first impact is on the economic part. Economic activities are forced to slow down, and the reason being is because of two things. First is, of course, the travel restrictions. You can't travel anywhere. It affects your supply chain. It affects your, a lot of things that related to the type of goods and everything. Okay. And then, of course, the next thing is the population, right? The population side is also there are fewer people that want to go to work. There's also fewer people that want to shop. So what happened is, from the demand side, we are already seeing a certain slowdown in economic activity, and that forces the GDP forecast into the negative turf. Next slide. And so we see two impacts. Now, the first stage, that when we see that China have the pandemic and where the cases are still mostly contained in mainland China is that the sales continues to increase in Q1. Prices still stay stable. The launches such as the M did very well. But generally, the slowdown in economic activity is also very contained to a few sectors like aviation, retail to a certain extent, and hospitality. Of course, some people ask me, why do you say retail to a certain extent? Because the supermarkets and the still are doing very well. So there are certain aspects of it that are quite okay. But the one that got hit is really the hospitality and aviation and tourist related kind of sectors. Now, second stage, we see there's a bigger community spread. All the different countries also face the pandemic, and the key thing is that the number of cases in other countries actually exceeded China. Now the top is US, and they're already facing a lot of issues, and a lot of countries implemented all these circuit breaker measures or social distancing measures, which sort of slowed down the whole global economic activity. So what happens is that, things are kept to a minimal. Everybody go virtual like us. We have to do this virtually. And in return, all the activity has slowed down. And of course, we also see an unprecedented kind of support from the government globally. If you look at MAS, they have more policies like the loan policies, the recently announced policies to help buyers, the MAS, the URA also announced the property measures to help the developers to ease the ABSD. So this is pretty unprecedented in terms of the scale. So while things are getting a bit weak, but we do see that they are being supported at a certain level. Now, next slide. So, of course, if we look on this COVID-19, the first impact that we expect to see is sales, because demand will be immediately impacted. First is sentiments have changed. From what we see is a very optimistic outlook, real estate being a good asset, to something that people are now looking for survival. Day-to-day life are changing. And then the other group of investors are like, maybe they should keep more cash, to preserve whatever they have or changes in the future. So I think this is what we are expected to see. And then, of course, from the buyer side, they are now looking for a lot of distressed properties. And of course, the business owners are also affected. Now, next slide. And then, of course, the other thing that we saw is that, previously we see that, stock market is not so attractive because of its volatility. Suddenly, the drop in the stock price, like for certain blue chips, like, DBS, the banks, the developer stocks, they become very attractive. And so a lot of people are now, those with cash, are now thinking of, maybe I should go into the equity market instead. Okay. Okay, so next, sorry, other interruption. Yeah, sorry. Let's go to the next slide. Yeah. So maybe it's not a good idea to invest in the equity markets. Sorry, that's my daughter in the background. And distressed properties. And a lot of people also talk about whether, this is the good time to find distressed properties. I think this is one of the things that frustrate agents most. I would think people are looking for properties that are like 50% discount kind of thing. Unfortunately, the distressed properties are still not here yet because the distress has not occurred. So as you can see, there are more bankruptcies, but banks are not going to sell properties at a cheap. They also basically selling properties at the things that we are seeing. So I think distressed properties, they are not there yet. Okay. So for those that are like one of the things is to advise the owners that such properties are likely to see it unless you see a sustained downturn. And that one we will go later. When will we see it? Or what circumstances do we see it? Okay, next slide. So, and then from Property Guru, interestingly, there's more listings up for sale. So there's certain areas that people are trying to sell it. Offhand is in Q1, I think what I hear probably may not be true, but probably should maybe go down to the floor whether this is true or not, is that a lot of sellers are trying to cash out to buy equity, or some people are selling out to preserve the cash for entering the market at a later time. So we do see that this number of listings went up based on Property Guru statistics. Now, let us go to the next one. Now, let's look at compared to other recession. Okay, compared to other recession, how do they compare? Now, and what are the differences? If we look at the Asian financial crisis, of course, there are a few things that are very different compared to this one and the Asian financial crisis. Asian financial crisis, if you think about it, there's a lot of speculation. There's no TDSR, there's no ABSD. Okay, so during that point in time, there's a lot of speculative behavior. So when people could not afford that property, what happens? You see the price start to come down because they have to, quickly sell off whatever they have because there's too much froth in the market. Whereas now, the good thing is there's not much froth. Now, the interesting part is that, of course, during the GFC part, you see that the cycle seems to become a bit shorter and the recovery seems to be a bit faster. Now, during this part is the key thing here is that during that time and now, during that time, the US is not doing well, but China is doing fantastically well. And that actually helped the market to boost quite significantly. So we see quite a V-shaped recovery immediately after the global financial crisis. Now, the only part that is very long drawn, I would say, is during after the 2001. That is just probably due to a lot of events happening at the same time. First, you have dot-com bust, 9/11, then they have Gulf War, uncertainty over oil, then you have SARS, and then subsequently things then start to improve after 2003. So the key thing here is that the pandemic now is that it covers a much wider scale. In the past, we have China or US, one doing well, one doing not well. This time around, everybody is somehow or somewhat affected. The second thing is that it's a bit more long drawn because of how the disease spread, the virus spread compared to SARS. SARS, you can track it much simply. Of course, if you want to track this COVID-19, it's a bit difficult because it's quite asymptotic. So there are several things that this can go even worse than before, but there are also reasons to believe that this time around, actually things could be better because of all the cooling measures in place. And then if things really, we see that the numbers are actually coming down, things may actually improve quite significantly. Okay, next slide. So these are just some of the things that I have covered. Just to add two more things is, of course, technology. In the past, I think there's less technology in terms of Internet of Things. The way we connect is much worse. So technology is the one that is now doing very well, and we expect this maybe to spearhead the recovery in the next quarter or when things becomes better. And then in terms of supply chain, that is actually impacted much more now because of the slowdown. The other thing that is quite interesting is that the interest rate. The interest rate is still very low. And so in other words, in terms of capital, should be much more better in this case. Next slide. So now what is the type of recovery that we expect to see? Of course, there are a lot of scenarios that are possible. The first one is the V shape. Economy recovers, but the activity is permanently lost for a short while and then it recovers very quickly. The GDP, the U-shaped one, is it recovers, but it's at a much slower rate. Then, of course, some of them actually talk about swoosh shape. Okay, this is like the Nike kind of recovery. The Nike recovery is longer, but it's actually slower than the U-shape in terms of the pickup. Then, of course, you have the Z shape. This is actually a lot of spending. Then, because suddenly things improve very well because of the cash and capital in the market, you see a sudden sharp jump in the sales and in terms of the GDP growth. This kind of like revenge buying kind of thing that will push it up. Then, of course, the W shape. The W shape is when some governments lift the restriction too soon, and then they have second wave, third wave, and that's why you see another dip. And then the L shape, where the economy never fully recovers. Now, let me go to the next slide to go into more real estate part. How do we really see a really like L-shaped curve? Now, L shape, I think, is the likelihood is very low. Okay, so how it will happen? So one of the things that I think everybody is closely monitoring is the number of active cases, because when there are more active cases and more waves, that actually means that things are likely to drag out longer. And when things drag out longer, certain businesses are being forced to close. And we see that the downturn is more permanent in that sense. Trade wars went up a gear. That is another thing that I'm monitoring, like what is the kind of the kind of talks that Donald Trump tend to talk about with China. Like today, we saw news that he said, oh, he doesn't want to talk to Xi Jinping. So that, of course, will also impact on how things will become. The next thing is actually quite a far cry, but civil unrest. We can see that in Hong Kong, once they don't have cases, the next thing they come out again for demonstrations again. So whether such things will happen again, we still think that this whole geopolitical tension, of course, is being currently chucked aside because of this COVID-19. But when things improve, this may actually arose. And there is going to be certain kind of income gap and income kind of a tension between different income groups. Structural changes to sectors. So certain sectors may face changes that is even more sustained change, and that may lead to a continued decline. Of course, higher unemployment, and then after that, if this thing is dragged out too long, there's lack of stimulus or lack of money to push up the economy. So this is very unlikely. Okay, now let us go to the next one. V-shape. V-shape will occur if there's someone comes out with very affordable and accurate test kits. Now the problem is of this COVID-19 is it's very difficult to test and very hard to quarantine because there's this asymptotic component in it, and you cannot detect whether they have it or not. Unlike SARS, SARS, everybody tests the temperature. So if there's a way to test it accurately and affordably, I think we can see quite an immediate recovery, because we can actually go back to work. The economy activity can be restarted in most of the sectors, if not all. Then the next thing is, of course, if there's vaccine, but I think emergence of a good vaccine probably will take at least a year or two, because it really takes a lot of tests. And then if some of these factors are being satisfied, I think the key thing will be there's still a lot of most of the firm capacity are still kept intact, and then the government stimulus budget, increased fiscal spending, the effect will still continue to push the demand. Okay, so this one at one point in time is very likely, but I think now people are actually thinking that the probability of this is less likely to have V-shape. It's more likely to have U-shape, which is the next one. I think it's the next one, U-shape. Yes. So it takes longer to contain, but slowly we see that different places are gradually releasing all these social distancing measures. So definitely we'll see it, recover, but it's at a much lower rate. Of course, what happened is also there are fewer jobs available. Nowadays, if you go to the job street, everybody is offering jobs for 6 months or 3 months kind of contracts. So the recovery will take longer to absorb the slack. Okay, and of course, there are some sectors that see slower recovery, like aviation, due to disruption. So the shape of the curve will probably be U-shaped. Most of the economies that are being surveyed are thinking along this line. So we are likely to see this, but there's also more opportunities. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So what will be a post-COVID-19 be like for residential market? I think suddenly spaces will be redefined. Suddenly people will start thinking, maybe I should get a bigger house or extra room, or a room that, that you can sort of like, that your kids will not find you. Of course, other things like flexibility, technology-driven spaces will be more and more important over time. So I think we will see developers or owners providing the offerings will actually change a bit over time. Okay, next. Demand will also evolve. Rent versus owning. This is the part that I'm still grappling, whether people will come out to rent more or buy more. Personally, is that maybe because of COVID-19, people are thinking of, why should I rent? Maybe I should just buy one to own. So we may see that ownership is becoming more attractive. But at the same time, you see that those who are still staying with, singles, who are above 35, staying with their parents, may think about wanting to have their home house because they realize that work from home with your family may be quite a difficult experience. So they may actually move out. So we may see this formation of nuclear families, and people may purchase homes earlier because of this, because they find that, okay, I've got a girlfriend, I think, since we all face this, things that we may need to work from home in the future, maybe we just buy a home ourselves. Otherwise there's a lack of spaces to share. Imagine everyone is doing Zooming, but where to Zoom, right? So those are the kind of consideration that people will think about. Next. Next aspect, I think there will be this part that the developers or future people will think about is facilities within the condo versus internal space that you own. So are facilities still very important within the condo? Because you realize that, hey, you may not get to use if you have this kind of pandemic. So maybe getting a bigger unit will make more sense. So we may see the whole needs evolve. Landscaping also may become very important. People will like to go to places that, like a park or near a park. Concierge also will become very important. The ease of collection of delivery. Now, most of us, will be have already participated in delivery. Storage is again another thing that I think will be quite interesting to see, especially personal storage. Because now, everybody, although we try to deny it, there's quite a few closet hoarders. They will hoard all the food, Maggi and whatnot, and masks, of course. So again, where do you put it? So after that, people will start to think about all those things, and security and safety. Like we see that, some some condominiums, they actually have some people actually accidentally come in with their friend. So how do they maintain that security and safety? All these issues, I think people will start to question when they purchase a home. So I think for projects that have certain advantages, we'll probably see a bit more demand than the rest. Next. And then in terms of amenities, I think there will be also a different view. In the past, of course, we all want to be near good schools, MRT station. But I think after this experience, people will probably want to say, hey, maybe it's good to have somewhere near a public park, or public space, so that, during when this kind of things happen, at least my kids or whatever, we can go there, exercise. And of course, near F&B and supermarkets, so that, you can go there and buy things. buy essentials. So I think there may be a shift in terms of this mindset of amenities, not just MRT station, but the rest, like public parks, seaside, all those things that may be changed. Next. So what are we expect to see? This is just my own personal view, does not apply for, it does not represent NUS or IRES. But I think it's very likely we see a correction in 2020. But how big, I don't think it's that big yet, because the government has put in quite a lot, very attractive stimulus program to help support economic activity and jobs. So the correction probably will not be that big. And there's a likelihood that it will recover in 2021. How market performs, again, is still very up in the air. It really depends how long COVID-19 is being contained and whether, the past market dynamics may change altogether because of the structural change. Okay, with that, I end my presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks a lot, Nigel. Very informative sharing. I think this info is very useful for many of us salespeople, especially when engaging with your clients. Okay, I'm sure many of you probably attended some other seminars organized by many self-proclaimed gurus. Okay, but right here, you have really the experts. So you have Dr. Lee, who is a real estate researcher at NUS, providing you with concrete data and information for analysis. So many of times, right, sometimes your clients engage with you. Some of them will also want to hear your view. So it's very essential to provide data-backed analysis for comments so you can actually help your clients relook at their portfolio. Okay, with that, next up for our commercial and industrial outlook. This is something personally I've been looking forward to hearing as well, because I do notice, especially on that industrial-based REITs, okay, the take-up for investments has been very robust on SGX. So for this segment, we are pleased to have Wong Xian Yang, who is Associate Director of Research Services for Singapore and Southeast Asia from Cushman & Wakefield. So he's responsible for tracking and managing databases for retail, residential sectors, as well as production of research reports, special projects, property market forecasts, right, and client presentations. So he has 6 years experience in the property market research and very regularly featured on local media as well. Okay, so with that, I would hand the time over to you, Xian Yang.
Yep. Okay. Thanks for the introduction. Okay. So I'd like to thank everyone for taking your time to attend this presentation today. So today I'll be talking about COVID-19's impact on the Singapore commercial and industrial markets. At the end of this presentation, you should be able to get a sense of where prices and rents are heading, and also some trends that may impact the performance of these assets over time. Okay, next. Okay, so this slide really shows the world GDP growth across time. I mean, COVID-19 and government-imposed lockdowns are shrinking global growth dramatically. So you can see that the global economy is projected to contract sharply by -3% this year. And you can see it's much worse than what we saw during the GFC. And the majority of advanced and emerging economies are assumed to be in recession in 2020. But I mean, there are some forecasts that say, assuming the pandemic fades by the second half of this year, the economy could potentially rebound in 2021 and grow by 5.8%, similar to what we saw pre-crisis. Next. So a similar story plays out for Singapore, right? The charts on the left shows Singapore GDP growth and unemployment rates. So you can see GDP growth will fall to negative levels, right? And this like really one of the largest negative fall in over 20 years. And unemployment will spike to similar levels to what we saw during SARS. And this is really a huge reversal from what we saw in early 2020. So you see the chart on the right, this shows the forecast of economic growth for several countries. I mean, economies have forecast in early January before COVID, and also what they're forecasting now in April. So you can see really most countries went from positive growth to negative growth overnight, right? Once COVID hit. So, I mean, the silver lining in this is that fortunately most economies were entering COVID-19 on really healthy footing, right? So they're able to fight COVID-19 better with their stimulus package. Next. And this is a chart from Moody's. So it shows the impact of COVID-19 across industries. So, I mean, for sure, the economic disruption will be different for the different sectors, right? Some more than others, right? The biggest impact will be for the retail and tourism sectors, I mean, which is given the travel disruption. I won't go too deeply into this slide, but hopefully this gives you a overview of which industries could potentially thrive and take up more real estate space, and also which industries which are likely to consolidate and reduce their spatial requirements. It's also helpful for agents that representing the landlords to also assess the tenants to see which kind of industries they are and whether they would face difficulties going forward. Yeah. Next. So for this slide, so given the severity of COVID-19, right, the government has rolled out a series of fiscal and monetary policies, right, to mitigate the impact on businesses and jobs. So monetary policy, I think MAS, they ease monetary policy, in view of all the QE that's happening around the world, right? On the fiscal side, we have 3 budgets were launched, right, totaling around 160 billion. This, I think, is the largest fiscal budget ever. And so some of the pertinent measures are your job support, 25 to 75%, and also the property tax rebate of 30 to 100%, depending on what property. So for some context, this is really the most generous that the government has been, right? During the GFC, I think government only gave up 40% property tax rebate for commercial and industrial buildings. And even for the wage support, it was only a 12% cash grant on the first 2,500 of local wages. So you can see, and also this time around, the government has also allowed, there's also a bill to allow the deferment of contractual obligations, which will give many tenants some breathing space. So you can see how severe the government assesses this crisis to be, right? And they've rolled out, a very huge stimulus package which would support the market. Okay, next. So given the huge impact, so this is not only happening in Singapore. Across the world, governments have racked up huge debts to fight COVID-19. Right. So the chart on the left, it shows the debt as a percentage of GDP growth for developed countries. Right. So like for Japan, their current debt is over 200% of their GDP. Right. And the bar on the right, the red bar shows how much more it will increase this year. So for like Italy and US, their debt to GDP will increase by over 20 percentage points this year. So is this something to worry about? Well, there are different schools of thoughts to this. I won't dive into this, but basically there are 3 broad ways that governments can repay debt. One is austerity, payback using taxation or cut spending. You can restructure, which is your last resort, because once you restructure, it may be very difficult to re-enter the debt market. The last and the most popular method is to roll over debt and to outgrow, which is do your quantitative easing. So when you have high debts, actually for governments, it's in their interest to keep interest rates low. While if you keep on pumping in money, you will eventually cause higher inflation. So lower rates and high inflation, these both are drivers for real estate prices over time. And so this bodes well actually for overall capital values for real estate over time. So there'll be a lot of demand for real estate. As the governments try to, given low interest rates and higher inflation. Next. So this slide shows you the impact of COVID on real estate segments. Ranked by relative level of impact. Hospitality will see the highest impact. Given travel restrictions, Changi Airport passenger movements fell 71% in March, right? And April and May will be much, much worse. I think there's expectation for it to fall over 90%, right? And the recovery in travel is still very unclear at this point. Right? Retail is also badly hit by the strict social distancing measures and also by travel restrictions, as around 1/5 of retail sales actually come from tourist spending. So places like Orchard, Marina Bay, Chinatown areas, which depend a lot on tourist footfalls, will be highly impacted. Suburban areas should see a lower impact. I mean, as the local population starts to come out after the circuit breaker. Industrial and office demand, which is correlated to economic growth, will be impacted as well, just not as much as hospitality and retail. So hospitality and retail are directly impacted by the COVID and the health crisis, and you will likely to see some very sharp and short-term pain until maybe perhaps a vaccine arrives. Whereas offices and industrial, they are more impacted by the lower economic growth. Yep. Okay, next. Okay, so the big question is, how far can prices and rents fall? I mean, let's look at previous recessions to have a rough gauge on how prices and rents may move. So this table shows the prices and rent movements for industrial, office, and retail during the last 3 recessions. So the third column shows the percentage quarter-on-quarter fall for first quarter 2020, while the other columns in the red highlight, these show the percentage fall from the peak to the trough, and the number of quarters to the trough, means how much did it fall from its peak, and what's the percentage fall from peak to trough, and also how long did it take. So you look at the most recent one, which is the global financial crisis, or the GFC, right? Industrial and office prices and rents fell by about 20%. Retail was more resilient. I think it fell only about 10%. So Singapore navigated through the GFC pretty well, and that recession for Singapore lasted only about a year. For the .com and SARS outbreak, it was like 2 events. I mean, it's also the Gulf War. It's actually 2 events that overlapped, right? Office prices were hit the worst, right? They fell 43% over 13 quarters, followed by industrial and retail, which fell only about 30% and 18% respectively. And this fall in prices and rents lasted for about 3 years. And the worst one was the Asian financial crisis, and all segments fell by about 40% over 3 years. So based on what we saw in previous recessions, the shortest one was the GFC was about 1 year, while the longest one lasted about 3 years. So, I mean, though it's not impossible, but I don't think that the current downturn would reach 3 years. As mentioned earlier, the government stimulus is huge, and there's also very strong motivation this year to support the economy. So I don't think you'll see like an Armageddon-like scenario like what we saw during the Asian financial crisis. And also the situation is also somewhat different, right? The speculative activities is not like what we saw during then, right? And also now, Singapore's status as a safe haven and a regional gateway, right, has created a lot of demand for Singapore real estate assets, right? So I think it's more likely that people are waiting on the sidelines to come in at a good price, rather than we'll see, large capital outflows from the market, which results in very steep price falls. So if you were to guess, I mean, if you were to gauge what would be the impact in prices and rents given the severity of this crisis, and I would say perhaps you should see, I mean, price movements similar to what we saw during the GFC, right? Where you see prices and rents fall by about 20%. So besides prices and rents, volumes will also, I mean, definitely they will fall. I mean, due to pricing uncertainty, right? During the GFC, commercial volumes, which is office and retail, fell by about 60%, right? Industrial fared slightly better, falling only about 20%, right? And also another point I noticed is that in past recession, retail rents were remarkably much more resilient as compared to the other sub-markets, right? It may not be so this time around, right? Given the different nature of the pandemic, the lockdowns, and also retail is also threatened by e-commerce. Yep. Next. So now let's look at some longer term trends. So one is remote working, like what we're all doing now, right? I think currently there's like a global work from home experiment going on thanks to COVID-19, right? I mean, I don't know if you have seen this joke online. I mean, there's a question asked, who was responsible for your company's digital transformation? Then the 3 choices are the CEO, Chief Executive Officer, the CTO, Chief Technology Officer, or COVID-19, right? So during COVID-19, we saw a huge surge in the number of users for video conferencing providers, right? And amongst them, we saw user base growing tremendously for Zoom, right? Which is what we are using now, right? I mean, as of March 2020, Zoom had about 200 million users from 10 million previously. But before COVID-19, actually nobody ever heard of Zoom. I mean, I didn't, right? So, and the other platforms such as Microsoft Teams, Skype also saw double or triple user base. So as such, I mean, home offices could become a viable alternative following government restrictions. So over time, could there be an overall reduction in office demand? I would say yes. And also on the right, I mean, there's an article headline from online, right? Talking about co-working operators, right? They used to be a space monster in the last few years, right? They took up huge amount of space, and now they are they're vulnerable during this period because this pandemic is so different, right? Companies, even though they want flexibility during a recession, but the total lockdowns around the world are making co-working operators pretty vulnerable due to their short leases. Because when their tenants can't use their space, the tenants are not going to pay. Right? But at the same time, co-working operators are also committed to very long leases and which they cannot break. And if your social distancing measures stay in place for some time to come, or even if it extends even next year, the pain for operators will continue as these spaces can't be intensified or optimized. So if you ask me, will flexibility stay on? Yes, I mean, I think it's really core and flex model is really what occupiers are looking at right now. But will all the players remain? I don't think so. Maybe not. So next, I mean, just to give you a visual aid on what offices may potentially be like, right? So these are pictures from a Cushman & Wakefield office in the Netherlands, right? They're doing a project on how offices may look like. So they actually reorganize their offices to make it safe for our colleagues, right? So they're doing a project on how offices may look like if social distancing measures remain in place. So this project is called the 6 feet office project. So why 6 feet? Because that is the recommended safe distance from a WHO, World Health Organization. So you see all the black circles on the floor, right? These are actually 6 feet in length. So this serves as a visual guide, for your colleagues so you're not supposed to enter the black circles. I mean, when you have a coworker sitting at his desk to maintain a 6 feet safety distance. I mean, Singapore's approach may be different, but some sort of density cap may be put in place. So in some, I mean, this doesn't really bode well for the office market, right? Current grade A office cap rates are around 3%, right? We could potentially see cap rates go higher due to lower utilization rates due to remote working. But nonetheless, I mean, offices, I mean, they're still regarded as a trophy asset and should remain in good demand. Right? Next. So this slide is about e-commerce, right? COVID-19 is accelerating the transition to e-commerce, as many have no choice now but to go online and make purchases of essential food and household items to help them through the lockdowns. And even before COVID, APAC has one of the fastest growth rates for e-commerce, as seen from the chart on the left. The table on the center shows the growth of e-commerce sales in terms of dollar value, and the table on the right shows the percentage total of e-commerce sales over total retail sales, which is like your e-commerce penetration rate. So Singapore e-commerce adoption is about, I mean, our online sales to total retail sales is about 6%. So you can see it's still, it's not even in the top view, right? But post-COVID, given that everyone now has to go online to buy their stuff, right? This could go up over to 7-8% post-COVID. And you can see that there's still much more room to grow, right? The country with the highest penetration of e-commerce is the United Kingdoms, the UK, right? With 18% of retail sales being online sales, which you can see on the right table. So even for the top country, UK, right? It shows that the majority of retail sales are still being done at physical shops. So brick and mortar will not become obsolete, but I would say that the current two-tier market trend, where we see that the bulk of footfalls only go to certain retail spots, right? The well-managed malls in good locations, whereas the weaker malls, they are actually suffering and they see higher vacancies and lower rents, right? And also, so site selection is very important for the retail market, and we'll see very divergent performance depending on the positioning and the location of the retail space. Right, next. Right. So the industrial market has been impacted by supply chain disruptions, and also, so for sure, overall industrial demand will take a hit. But fortunately for industrial, there are some green shoots of growth. So you can see the chart on the left, it shows the manufacturing output year on year. So you can see biomedical manufacturing has outperformed, right, tremendously, right, whereas general manufacturing and electronics are down. And also, higher frequency of deliveries and e-commerce adoption can also spur demand for, logistics and warehouse spaces and cold storage facilities. And also, data centers will also see more demand due to higher data usages. So one upcoming trend we could see gain more traction in Singapore are cloud kitchens. So these cloud kitchens, they're actually like shared kitchen spaces, right? And they are really optimized for delivery only. So F&B players can actually rent these spaces from these cloud kitchens, and they'll provide all the equipment, right? And they just need to, I guess, provide the manpower and also provide the recipe. And they will build, F&B players can save on initial startup costs, and they can save operating costs as well, because they, instead of renting a retail F&B space, they can actually open and sell their products in a cloud kitchen, right? And in fact, early this year, Grab opened its first cloud kitchen in Bukit Batok, right, taking over 6,000 square foot of space at the industrial building, right? So of course, Grab is not the first one. I mean, Deliveroo and Foodpanda have really established five cloud kitchens in Singapore. So cloud kitchens, if it gets more and more prevalent, they are a positive driver for industrial, right? But it's negative for retail spaces, right? Because F&B players can demand, which would have gone to the traditional F&B retail space, might now be going towards the industrial places, right? Cloud kitchens, they can operate in any food zone or food facility, like your industrial canteens. Okay, next. So it sounds a lot like very gloomy for a lot of segments, but I would say that Singapore real estate has got some very good long-term drivers going for her. And this pertains really to Singapore's unique position as a gateway city in Asia Pacific. So there are a lot of infographics on this slide, but I'll just go through them quickly. So the top row shows the improvement of ease of doing business in APAC over the last 10 years, right? And it's been continuing to grow. And also on the second row, right, figure 3, it shows that there are also more investors based in Asia. And figure 4 shows that there'll be a lot of cross-border investment within Asia Pacific, which you can see by the score of 6.9, right? Which refers to investors based in APAC buying out assets in other APAC countries. And in figure 5, you can see that the large majority of global investors, they actually expect to increase their real estate allocation in Asia Pacific in 2020. So you can see that the APAC region is really growing. There's a lot of growth in this region, and there are a lot of investors looking to come to invest into APAC. And Singapore also will benefit from this growth, right? Given her status as a gateway city and a financial hub in APAC and also to Southeast Asia. Okay, next. So this slide shows how much dry powder closed-end real estate funds have. So dry powder is at record levels, meaning there are tons of cash on the sidelines. Though investors may hold back for now due to uncertainty, but once there's more clarity on the direction, expect a huge wash of liquidity to enter the market, right? Taking advantage of depressed pricing and low interest rates. Right. Next. And so, I mean, these are just some potential opportunities to look at, right? So given the incoming recession, there could be some distressed sales coming onto the market, but it may not be this year, it could be next year. I mean, not this year because, I mean, though I think Nigeria has pointed out there are a lot of bankruptcies, but due to the government measures, the then sellers have a bit more holding power this year. But one long-term play could be older strata office developments that could be potentially redeveloped. I mean, also given the CBD incentive scheme. So data centers should thrive given higher data requirements. So we talked about offices earlier. So suburban offices could see higher demand, right? If social distancing measures persist, right? Companies may consider, opening a satellite offices or even move their whole office to the suburban region to save rents. And this also fits in with the government decentralization drive. Right? So e-commerce and deliveries can also drive demand for warehouses. So if cloud kitchens take off, they'll be looking at potential industrial canteens or coffee shops near to a large residential catchment. So hospitality and retail assets will see some distress, but rebound sharply once the pandemic fades. So, I mean, retail is really location specific, right? It will perform differently across regions, but perhaps one opportunity you could look at is at the CBD shop houses, right? Because now that when there's social distancing and also there's rotational work from home, right? Businesses for this retail at CBD could be quite bad. So, I mean, at this time there could be potentially opportunities for investors to come in at lower prices. So to wrap up, these are the key takeaways. Next, sorry. So here are the key takeaways, right? The impact of COVID-19 will be, broad-based and unprecedented, but I guess there's a lot of government stimulus now which will mitigate the impact. So though GDP may recover in 2021, but we expect a downtrend in rents and prices that will go into 2021, right? Because tenants and investors will still be cautious, until they see a sustained growth, right? So there'll be high short-term impact for hospitality and retail, right? Office demand may see longer lasting impact due to remote working, but there seems to be green shoots of growth for industrial due to the logistics and biomedical sectors. So, and lastly, there's a lot of liquidity on the sidelines, and Singapore has strong long-term growth fundamentals. And also Singapore's status as a safe haven could draw capital flows, resulting in a strong rebound when the pandemic fades. Okay, with that, I would like to end my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot, Sen Yang, for your detailed sharing on commercial segment. I feel that your sharing on the opportunities is very good for investors to make clear investment decisions as well. And for our salespeople out there, very, very good, excellent data to kickstart, break the ice with your investors as well. Especially for those who already have multiple residential properties, right? No matter how you go and restructure for them, they're still affected by ABSD. So even every single kid of theirs already own a property under trust and still sitting on tons of cash looking for opportunities, I guess this could be one of the possible options to kickstart a discussion with them. In fact, myself, I was having a discussion on Zoom with a client that day, and he was telling me that in the future, everything is inclined to go online. Maybe all you really need, you don't really need retail space anymore, just maybe need industrial warehousing space for e-commerce, and maybe for food, no need to have restaurants anymore. Because due to the change of behavior from this COVID-19, maybe all you need is to have a food factory and get yourself on the online food delivery platforms. And also one thing I also personally noticed is a lot of high net worth individuals, this thing suddenly woke them up. They realized that, hey, I need to diversify my investments and put some of my wealth into essential services, because when things like this happen, everything comes to a standstill, no more income, everything just stops. So this is where it gives people a chance to relook at their portfolio. Okay, and in closing, what we do is we save the best for last. Okay, we have Thomas. So he's going to share his thoughts and experience, identify how agents can respond, practical market trends moving forward. He has a really good crystal ball, so he's going to read from his crystal ball today and let you know from all the data and research that's been provided by our experts today. He's going to come up with something concrete for you, right? Right, Thomas? Thomas is a very, very familiar face to many of us. Those of you who do not know him, Thomas, he's a Chief Learning Officer at one of the leading CAA approved course providers. provides RES CPD courses. So many affectionately know him as teacher. Okay, close to 10,000 real estate agents. That's a very, very large number. Who actually he had the privilege to share his knowledge and skills since 2011. So he's also the KU of real estate consultancy firm. And today, of course, wearing the hat as the president of SEAA, he is actively involved with government agencies like CEA in several work groups and committees. So look at avenues to professionalize the real estate industry, commits a lot of his time and knowledge and skill sets right into helping all the agents and agencies. Okay, so I guess with that, over to you, Thomas.
Okay, good. Can everybody hear me? If you can, give me a thumbs up. I would like to hear your thumbs up. Yep, I see it on the screen itself. If you guys can hear me, can give me a thumbs up. Then we can quickly, and in case you are a little bit tight on your bladder, please feel free to go for toilet. We can't hear you. Don't worry. You can still see me while you go toilet, right? Yeah, just it's okay. We can't really see you and hear you, but it's okay to clear your bladder. I want you to be comfortable when we go through the next 10-15 minutes. I'll try to, yes, thank you very much, Michael, Michelle, Michael again. Yep. I can see all the comments coming in. Very good. Yep. Thank you for responding. So let me, while the rest of people who wants to quickly go toilet to release their bladder a little bit, let me go through one question that I posed for all of you, because I want you guys to come forward and give me your comments, because we certainly want to hear from you. With this circuit breaker itself, everybody is coping up at home, so we want you to release your tension a little bit. Give us a little bit of your thoughts. What do you think in 2020? You've been hearing the experts, right? We hear from Dr. Lee talk about residential. We hear from Xian Yang, okay, talk about the non-residential sector itself. Yeah, what do you think? I really want to hear what do you think. Yeah, send in your comments so that we can what do you think? You think in 2020 our property prices will go up, our property prices will go down, our property prices will remain stagnant? That means flat line. What do you guys think? Come on, give me show me your comments. Okay, I'm hearing lots of comments now coming in. Down from Dan. Pauline says down. Ong SY says down. Michael Lim says down. Dennis down. Okay, at least got one Michelle. Michelle said depends. Depends. Okay, there's someone who says 3. Joan who says 3. Stagnant. Shirley is down. Okay, 2 is down. Yeah. Winona, yes. Stagnant till end of the year. Next year wow, down. Okay, I think based on the comments that you guys are posting on the chat box itself, wow, a lot of you say down leh. Hey, down all down long zhong si lah. Everybody cannot survive really. Everywhere down. Then we don't have researcher like Naijia, don't have Zen Yang already and all that. Okay, so all close shop, no need to do anything if everything goes down. But let me give you some pointers. There's no right or wrong answer. It's anybody's guess, right? Because our greatest enemy now is no longer the war between China and US anymore. Our greatest enemy now happens to be something that we cannot see. Okay, and if we touch it and we put our mouth out, you know, so we are very scared now that this is the invisible enemy that we're dealing with, right? The good news is it's not like SARS. It's not as fatal as SARS. Okay, so I think we can. Yeah, some of you are like crying already. It depends on the property market. Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the comments coming in. All right, good. Yes. Some of you are thanking Sen Yang for his great sharing. I totally agree. We do need to look at other segments. Tell your clients, some of them who got a little bit of money. I'll share you. Okay, some of the stats itself. I hope most of you have already come back from your toilet break. Yes, so that let's move on. There's no right or wrong answer where this is concerned. It's just some of your thoughts. Let's go. Okay, show you in the developer's perspective. This news came out beginning of May. Developers' sentiments dive. I think this one, Naijia, Dr. Lee, he can actually give you, because it's done by his team of people, whether the sentiments has actually generally dropped, where the developers are concerned. Yes, this is a point of time you want to cry already. Okay, yeah. So, and I don't know whether you can call this good news. I think it's good news. If the developers are a little bit more sensitive to prices, because sentiments has generally dropped, then this is the time for you to highlight to your clients, especially those who are sitting on a little bit of money. Okay, so this is the part whereby you probably need to highlight to them and tell them, yes, the sentiments has dropped a little bit. Okay, good news is what? The buyers, good news what? They can expect what? Oh, lower prices. Some of you may be even thinking of buying yourself, isn't it? Yeah, so yeah, this is due to the COVID situation. But I think there will be some opportunities. And for those of you who think that the prices will drop in the next half a year until end of 2020, let me give you, there's no right or wrong answer, I say it again. Let me give you, this is probably from the developer side. Let me show you from a resale portion. We also want to see this. Yeah, I actually can show you this. The resale market for the condo, we plunged 57%. That means volume has dropped. So volume drop, it definitely will affect us agent because we live on transactions, isn't it? So if the volume drops, yeah, well, we need to really think about what to do next. That's why it's very good that you guys are attending this. If you have friends who you think will benefit from this, all this data is, ask them to come and join this session now. Don't waste it. We are going live already. After this, very difficult to get NUS, SEAA, as well as Cushman Wakefield to sit down already. Because COVID over already, circuit breaker over, no time to sit down to do all this. Now we really want to drive the market and really help you guys to focus. Okay, I'll talk about this thing called focus later on. But more importantly, you see this. Yes, what this particular slide really tell us is the volume has come down. This one, I do not dispute this, okay, because it's clearly reported. But what I really want to highlight to all of us is this. Let me use a blue pen to show you this. The prices have barely moved. That means prices, okay, so volume may be down, but prices stagnant. Okay, the volume may be down, but the prices are holding. Okay, for the holding. Why are prices holding? Why is it that people can hold the price? Keep your comments coming in. I can see. Yeah, some of you are, yeah, got movement, can survive, stagnant is bad. Okay, come, ask your friends to continue to come in. We want to, for those of you who just joined us, my name is Thomas. I'm the president for SEAA. We are just discussing, okay, about 2020 marketplace itself. For the residential market, this is a residential slide, obviously. I'll tell you why prices remain stagnant. This statement is quite important. Okay, I tell you why prices remain stagnant. Let's show you the next slide. Okay, one of the things that the government did was this. They allow people to do what? They allow our friends in the marketplace to defer their mortgage. Okay, the key date that they can defer up to it's 19th of October 2020. That means you can defer payment for up to 6 months. They announced this and they really passed a law in Parliament to allow people to legally defer their mortgage. That means if Thomas stay in a condo now and Thomas cannot pay his $4,000 installment, he can defer. He can defer. They make this announcement somewhere in April. Okay, effective date is April. It may be a bit blur for you. Let me write out for you. It's 20th of April, 2020. Then what happened is, how many people turn up in the banks, to go and say, I want to defer? Cannot. Okay, 17,000 went in and say, let us defer our installment. So if you talk about this date, October, okay, from here to here is 6 months, right? This is the start date. This is the end date. Okay, and if you have 6 months to think about things, okay, do you think the government is going to drive and make sure our economy try to revive itself? Yeah, so they are actually buying everybody some time to be able to okay, so let me highlight this particular word to all of us. Okay, this one, this is a very important word for today's session. If you cannot remember anything, because there's a lot of data floating around, cannot remember anything, tell them this year, 2020, is the year whereby we can tong, okay? Everybody can tong. This will tell you generally the prices very difficult to come down because again, we go back to our previous slide. Prices is stagnant, difficult to come down because everybody can what? Everybody can what? Everybody can tong. Okay, so if you guys can see, yeah, some of you are actually mentioning in the deferred payment offered by the banks, government support. Yes, yeah, some of you have actually said, go on to say, yeah, relief from the government. Yes, this is to help us tong. Rather than you cannot take it, then the bank take back the property, the bank go for a lot of auction sale, then there's a lot of auction sale in terms of foreclosure. Then the whole system may collapse after that. So that's not the scenario that we want. That's why government threw out $60 billion now. Okay, let us use 60 billion. After 6 months, now you are mentioning, yeah, I'm looking at some of your comments now. After 6 months, government on deferred, okay, comes the pandemonium. Okay, buyer's market. Yeah, yes. So if you guys already capture this information, 2021, 2022, hey, this is your time, my time already. Okay, tell your client who can, because I can tell you there's quite a lot of people sitting on cash there. Okay, you remember the people who went through en bloc in 2017, 2018, 2017 generally, and some of them haven't bought a house yet, okay, because they recently only surrendered their place, they're still renting a place. Uluya, they got money. Okay, so there will be a group of people who are waiting to enter the market. So, and there's a group of people who can tong. Okay, and if you understand a couple of days back, 2 days back, what did the government do? Tong black, right? Okay, lots of cash in the marketplace. Yes, tong year. This year is a tong year. Yes, yes. Okay. Yeah, at least you guys captured something in the comments. Thank you. Okay, please continue to keep your comments coming in. If you have questions later, Q&A, we can tackle it. And 2 days back, if you realize, if anybody who buys, they actually updated the law again. 2 days back only, on 13th of May. They went in and the government made this announcement. If you went in to buy from a developer, so let's say Thomas buy from Wing Tai, buy from CDL, buy from Far East, a brand new development, okay? The contract is before 25th of March, okay? If I bought the property, let's say last year, by this time, I would have signed the SMP already, right? And I actually need to make progress payment, isn't it? My progress payment also can defer. My progress payment also follow this date, this one. Also follow 19th of October. I can also follow it. Same for the people who bought BTO flats from HDB. Okay, when they sign the contract, HDB itself, right? Now they actually need to make some progress payment already. So everybody can defer. Once you let the people defer, means we take one of the worry off their mind. Yes, then everybody can tong. Can tong is very important. Okay, tong sing ka lai kong. All right, a lot of Hokkien. If you understand Hokkien, tong sing ka lai kong in English is you tong first, then you talk. Okay, a tong is actually not an English word. Last first, sustain. All right, go through it first. All right, then we talk about moving along. Okay, let me quickly go through. This one is what Bruce wants to see lah. What will happen? The crystal ball come out already, right? Everybody is looking at the crystal ball. Okay, let me base on what I figured out earlier. Remember, I said this: the market can tong. This year can tong. Next year, I don't make prediction. This year, we definitely can tong. The government is going to help us tong. Okay, to help us last through. Okay, so then what happened is, you guys know how ping pong ball works, right? You guys play ping pong, tennis, table tennis before. If you push this, you see my picture. If you push the ping pong ball into the water, what happens? You push the ping pong ball down into the water, into the cup of water, what happens? Come on, put it in your comments. Come, let me see your comments. What happens to the ping pong ball if I push it into the water? Come on, let's see some comments. Some of you are still in the tong. Over already, the slide over already. No more tong already. Let's look at ping pong ball already. Okay, what happens? It will bounce back up. Very good. Okay, so you if you just join us, welcome. Okay, we are just talking about ping pong ball. No, we are not from the Singapore Athletics Association. We are from Singapore Estate Agents Association to help agents to really educate our agents about this. Ping pong ball, you push it down, it will bounce back up. You push it down again, it will bounce back up, isn't it? Okay, so I think I think once this COVID situation is over, we can bounce back. And let us take some cue, let us take some directions from what happened in other countries. Okay, you can, yes, thank you. When you push it down, release, you'll bounce back, you will float, you'll bounce back. Thank you for all the comments coming in. Thank you, thank you. I hear you loud and clear. So everybody is correct, yes, that we will bounce back, right? So here's the thing. Let's look at what happened with the very first time the virus was detected. It's in which country? The very first time they say widespread virus spread very quickly. It started and highly speculated to start from which country? Yes, okay. Adam is saying from China. Yes, good. Yeah, some of you are still on ping pong ball. Okay, no more ping pong already. Come, tell me, where do you think the virus, some people speculate, where does it originate from? Yes, June, thank you. William, China. Okay, it started from China. Let us see, let's take a cue and take a glimpse at what happened in China. After, you remember, China detected it. China went on lockdown in Wuhan. They locked everybody down, right? Every 2 days only one person can come out and buy essential goods. And after the lockdown, they were also the first to recover very quickly, isn't it? So they recovered, and recently they opened up China again, isn't it? For people to go into the cities and all that. Yes. Will we be awarded CPD? No. Okay. Someone is asking, will you get CPD points? Yeah. So what happened in China? Let's look at the China property market. I don't know whether you guys have seen this. China bounces back straight after COVID is over. And what happened to their volume? Okay, what happened to their volume? They sprang into life, you know. The whole Chinese market springs to life. Okay, and what's the volume? They tripled the volume straight away. So I'm telling you, when we are able to return, okay, when the developers can open the show flat, when we are able to do it, I think our reaction will be quite similar. And property is not the only thing people chiong, you know. This is called revenge buying. I think Nigeria actually spoke about this earlier. Revenge buying, the V-shape, very V-shape, very revengeful. That means Jinggu, like very long never had bubble tea. Once the bubble tea Gong Cha open, it chiong, you know. Yes, then people fight, slash each other just to get bubble tea, that kind of thing. We go, like same for McDonald's. Okay, that day I was at McDonald's, I see the queue is like, wow. Okay, why don't you just order to the home? So what happened is this: China bounces back. China's bounces back. So this is important. China bounce back. Show you this. Oh, okay. Then what happened? The property amount triple. In not just one city, two cities. It's not just Wuhan, you know. In 30 major cities, we had triple sales. Okay. So the volume straight away come back straight away 3 times. Okay. So I am predicting. I am predicting Singapore, same. Do you think so? Okay, you can comment. If you disagree with me, please comment inside. There's no right or wrong answer. This is just us making predictions. Okay, and let me put a disclaimer. If the thing don't happen, we never bounce back. Please don't go and say Thomas say we'll bounce back. How come like that? Okay, let me put a disclaimer out there. This is just predictions. We are just trying to educate ourselves with data. Okay, and we certainly would not know. We can make some predictions that 2020 the prices will not be too far off. Yeah. Okay, so don't expect a lot of fire sales this year, because number one, people don't need to worry about their mortgages. Okay, they don't need to worry about their mortgage too much. Yeah. So my bigger worry is the macroeconomic factors. Whether our economy can recover in time or not. Okay, and this time round, what do you guys think? Singapore, same or not? Yes, some of you agree. Some of you have started watching. Okay, yeah, I'm the last speaker, by the way. Okay, if you just started watching, I'm the last speaker already. Yeah, all right. Yes. Okay, a strong rebound. Adrian is saying a strong rebound followed by uncertainty and stagnation until 2021, but hopefully no second wave. Yes, all right, likely to happen. Some of you are agreeable. Likely to happen, meaning likely to be the same as China. Yes, that's my prediction anyway. Okay, so what do you do in the meantime? We know now we cannot bounce back. We know now we cannot bounce. Now we are the ping pong ball in the water. Okay, waiting to bounce back. Okay, so what in the meantime, while you're in the water, okay, what should you do? Stay ready. Be ready. If you understand Chinese, okay, 养兵千日，为了什么？为了一战 right? Okay, we feed the army for 1,000 days for one battle. Okay, so now you guys need to be ready. How are you ready? Are you ready or not? All of you, ready? Not ready? Get ready. Get ready. Yes, praying and hoping. Yes, that's part of getting ready. Yes, if you are the religious type. Yes, depends on the sector. Depends on stock market indices, the index itself. Yes. Yes, some of you are making. Okay. Yeah. Okay, but you guys know got tong, got ping pong and all that. Thomas like to have fun when I do. Now, what do we do? What do we do in the meantime? I really want us to do something concrete. One, I want us to start building our knowledge and skills. By you attending this, I already know you guys are the one that will actually make it after the circuit breaker. Because why? You're building up your knowledge, you're building up your reservoir of skills, your reservoir of skills. So it's very good. You guys are doing the right thing now. Let me get a cup of drink first. Yeah, okay. Don't worry, I'm not changing my language. I'm not Lee Hsien Loong, okay? I'm just drinking water. So build your knowledge and build your skills, like what you guys are doing now. And if you have not completed your CPD, go and complete your CPD. Okay, you don't need to come to my center. You can go to any center to complete your CPD, including SEAA itself, of course. Then please continue to stay connected with your client. How many of you have actually done virtual viewing, done Zoom meetings with your client? I know Bruce has done it, okay? And a couple of other people, many of the agents I know who are very actively selling still, they are conducting a lot of virtual viewing. So I've got this agent who shared me how he do it. He asked the client to take the phone, go and film his entire house, okay? And the client becomes his marketing partner, sell his own house. Okay, the only thing when I saw the video, the only thing I don't really like is the client go and introduce, go and look at the toilet. He go and film the toilet bowl and say, this is my toilet bowl. Hey, you tell people toilet bowl for what? People can tell it's a toilet bowl lah. Then he filmed the curtain. You look at the nice curtain. I'm not interested in the curtain. I'm interested after the curtain, the window open, what view do I get? That's more important, right? So when you tell your client to do virtual viewing, you also must tell them what to film, right? Don't anyhow go and film things. Don't say things that are obvious now. Okay, so yes, some of you are like laughing. Okay, yes. If the economy improve, we will bounce back. Yes, we hope water evaporate faster. Okay. Yeah, good. At least you guys are staying connected. This is how we connect. Yeah, this is how we really connect with one another, isn't it? Let's stay connected. Keep in touch. What if you have not connected with your client, have not sent them a text in the recent weeks or so? Why don't you just send them a text itself? Okay, tell them, let's stay connected. Yes, so that when we prepare ourselves with knowledge, with skills, and we stay connected, that means we are ready, right? Then what's the last thing to do? Please be positive because during the circuit breaker, a lot of people, I have a sense, a lot of people are quite negative. Okay, so personally for me, I try to stay away from the negativism. If they are too negative, you try to excuse yourself. Okay, whether through conversation or through phone calls or through text. Okay, if your client are also will tend to be negative. If your client is negative and you are equally negative, then no need to do sales already lah. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so you have to stay positive, and if you can, please remove negativism from because it's very important for you to stay prepared. You can see the lady in the picture or not? Is she prepared or not? This lady, prepared or not? Yeah, she's ready to run, She just cannot run yet because why? Now the circuit breaker not over yet. The gun haven't say boom, haven't say go yet, isn't it? That's why she's ready. Yeah, she must be ready to go. Just like all of us need to be ready to go. So this is basically what you need to be aware of. Then how do we, let me go back to the first point, this one. How do we stay connected? How do we stay and build up our knowledge and skill set? Let me show you what the association has been doing for all of us. Since the circuit, thank you. Many of you are here. Okay, thank you. You have been enjoying the tong and the ping pong ball and all that, right? Yeah. Since the circuit breaker has started, just to recap our memory, the circuit breaker started 7th of April. Okay, that's the first day everybody go back home already, right? Cannot come out already, cannot come to office anymore. 7th of April. what has the association been doing? What has SEAA been doing for all of us? If you are joining us for the first time, okay, good. At least it's a good start. But if you have been joining us, you will realize from the perspective of the association, we have been doing all this throughout now since the start. You can see at the start of the circuit breaker. This is the start, right? From then, we have been doing this, we have been doing so many training, and we have been doing a lot of digital training. Because why? We want you guys to equip yourself so that digitally you can engage your client. We teach you how to be productive. We go through, we got a lawyer to come in and talk about legal remedies. Okay. That means to talk about the thing, six months, you cannot be sued if you don't pay rental, that kind of thing. So we got it. And then some of them came forward and say, we want some more interesting thing to upgrade ourselves, right? Besides looking at developers, we also taught our agents Chinese real estate term, because we want you to be ready. Ready for what? So that you can, when people WeChat you, you know what's WeChat, right? Used in China, right? So if people WeChat you, you can respond using our local real estate terms, isn't it? Then of course we go digital training again. Financial planning is done by Alfred, Sing Capital, right? To see in this time, what are some of the expenses you want to cut down, some of the things you want to increase in terms of your budget. Okay, then of course social media. Yeah, like now we are engaging you in social media. Yes, many of you have said SEA has been Zooming 2 sessions today already. Conveyancing during the COVID situation. We what are we trying to do? And we culminate in today, okay, which is our very important session here. Because this is where heavyweights like us come out, and to really drive the market for you guys. Okay, and of course, many more will be coming along the way. So we really want you guys to be ready. You remember my previous slide? We really want you guys to be what? Right? To be ready, isn't it? Yeah, we really want you guys to be ready, We don't want you to go ahead and then stay away from the marketplace. And we certainly don't want you to go into negativism. We really want you to be charged up so that, because I can predict already when the market recovers, we really want the market to drive, and you guys should be in the marketplace combing the volume already. You should not be waiting and see, oh, really? My friend closed, that one closed. Then you do what? Then you stay at home, still watching your K-drama. Don't. When the market reopens, go and chiong already. And how to chiong? By where we come to you guys, and we tell you this, where we tell you all this is to enable you to chiong. All this we are doing for you is to do what? Yeah, we want you guys to chiong. You understand? Okay, we want you guys to be able to adopt digital knowledge. Okay, equip yourself with lots and lots of knowledge, skillful already right now. Then when the market is ready, you can chiong now. Really can chiong already. Okay, everyone, good. Yes, I hope this one has given you some insights. I want to spend time for Q&A. What we're trying to do is this, if the place become like this, a little bit gloomy, okay? Don't worry. You see the little light here? You see the light here? They can say, this is SEAA. We will be the light for you in the darkness now, okay? Before the dawn comes, that's the darkest, isn't it? Before the dawn arises, right? We will be light for you. So can I also ask for a favor in return? You also like us? Can? If you have seen the QR code, go and scan it. Okay, go and like us. Yes, follow us on Facebook. We have more things lined up for you. Please don't forget to like our Facebook, follow us on Facebook. Okay, then we can quickly go in and support you guys in whatever we are doing. Yeah, so scan the code, like us, go to our Facebook page, like us. You can show me a like. You like or not? Yes or no? Yes, Michelle say very good. Okay, you like the sharing from the 3 speakers today, especially the last one. If you say good, then please give us a thumbs up. I'm joking. Okay. Yes. Okay, we are going to break for Q&A now, so that we have more times for you guys to come forward and give us your comments. Okay, and some of your questions if you like. All right.
Yep.
I should be passing over to who?
To me. Okay. Thanks, Thomas, for sharing from your crystal ball. So you never answered my question, Q&A. My question is, your crystal ball made of glass or lightweight material can bounce back easily? Okay.
Ping pong ball.
Anyway, personally, just to add on, I think news articles sometimes cause confusion to many salespeople and even your buyers also. Because why newspaper article someday you open, wow, say going up, next day say down. Then because of this, this is where we are as salespeople, we can value add to our clients. Okay, from all the knowledge gained from seminars like this, so you can put them right back in the right direction. A takeaway from me as well is just remember for in all markets, the worst time for us salespeople is when the market is actually stagnant. So this now, all of you, most of you are writing down. Okay, so go up or go down. From my experience, I can tell you, whether it goes up or goes down, that's when us salespeople are required. So many of you very pessimistic, right? Say going to move down. Well, it's only when you actually transact the property, then reports, then actually Naitia and Sen Yang have reports and research to actually show, hey, it's gone down. Okay, so if markets are stagnant, everybody decide to wait and see and hold, then we are all in tough times. Okay, I got a lot of WhatsApp messages as well while we're going through, really thanking SEAA for getting the best of the best into an event like this. So to reiterate with what Thomas has actually mentioned, so you found this seminar beneficial for you, and we'd like to get your support to like the SEAA page so you can be kept in the know of future such events, which is organized very, very regularly. Even better still, do join us in SEAA if you're a salesperson, and we would like you to be part of the voice for all estate agents. Okay, so with this, we really open up the floor for some Q&A. Maybe we target to end at about 4:30, right? So maybe 15 minutes if everybody's okay. I just put in your questions, and then we will pick them up. If okay, I see Ray says, what about Hong Kong market? I guess can one of our expert researchers answer this? Nigel, would you like to take this?
I'm not really an expert in Hong Kong market, but I think in Hong Kong now, I think they politically they still have some issues now. I think they have demonstrations. So definitely that is one of the concern. I think actually if we look at the market for Hong Kong, for the longest time, the prices haven't come down, but the sentiments have weakened because of this demonstrations. The COVID-19 just sort of like worsened everything. But then what we are seeing is a kind of usually there's very strong interest in properties. Even when they have demonstrations, we still see people going into the show flats to buy homes.
Yes,
so
correct.
Yeah, I think definitely it will come back. But I think as a buyer, if safety is still some concern, right? Definitely Singapore is more attractive. But if we are looking at certain aspects, you want Hong Kong properties because now the people are more willing to sell, and then I think that yes, it's probably something to look at. But of course, people have to be cognizant of all the political issues in that area.
Okay. Yep. Any more questions? If no questions, then I will start asking all the difficult questions already. So some of you may want to save them and give them some questions. Okay, don't see any questions being asked, so never mind, I shall ask my questions then. I guess something a takeaway for me as well, I'd like to hear from the oh wait, we have a very good question first, so let's go to that. I think Charmaine has asked, some banks have readjusted their bank interest 0.3 plus minus. How long would you think that low bank interest rates would continue to be offered? Would Naitia or Sen Yang, are you keen to take on this question?
How long? So I think really depends on economics, the economic situation. But if we just look at how long Fed, I mean, I think in the GFC, the Fed lowered the interest rate for I think 5 or 7 years, if I remember. So I mean, based on that, I mean, lower interest rates could stay low for quite a fairly long period of time. And given that also, like I shared, I mean, there's a lot of debt. I mean, governments have taken on a lot of debt to fight this COVID-19, right? So, I mean, for governments, for them, I guess they won't want to raise interest rates anytime soon, because they want to encourage inflation to roll over their debts. Yeah, so it could really be for a few years.
Okay, that's a good outlook on the interest rates. Christina Lee, my tenant is checking on rental. Will it be reduced? Okay, this one, rental prices. I guess your question will be related to residential. Residential, I would say. Naitya, you want to take this question?
Yeah, so if we are talking about residential, it's not easy to find a reduced rent in the market because those who want to lease out their homes probably are not thinking of leasing their homes at this point because they are also worried that the tenants, the visits may end up people spreading the COVID-19. So I think because of how people are thinking now, I think it's pretty hard to say that rental will be reduced, but rather they will look at renewals at the existing rents because it's not easy to find any units at this point. Yeah.
Okay. Hope that answers your question, Christina. So for Boon Kia, I think this what Naitya has shared as well would answer your question about the residential rental, where and on where it's heading. Okay, any other questions from our viewers? Okay, don't see any questions. So you're okay to take one question from me? Oh no, wait, we have another one. From Chris. Chris is asking, what is the fate of retail space, especially for the large shopping malls after COVID-19? Sen Yang, available to share?
Oh yeah, so like I shared in my presentation. So I mean, COVID-19 will see more higher use of e-commerce, right? But you can see Singapore currently the e-commerce adoption is about 6% of total retail sales. Means the total of online retail sales to total retail sales is only about 6%. And even now, the highest in the world is like the UK, which is 18%. So post-COVID, you can imagine, I mean, the percentage will probably be increased. I think now in the month of March, it has gone up to 8%. So post-COVID, it could stay about 8%, but even then, 8% of the total retail sales is still, I mean, what I mean say is over 90% retail sales is still done in physical shops, right? So brick and mortar will still not be completely obsolete. But what does this mean for shopping centers? I would say those that are well managed. So the two-tier market will continue to hold. Those that are well managed, they will attract the majority of footfalls, right? That's why you see these tend to be REIT managed shopping centers. You see retail REITs, especially for those suburban malls, right? Their DPUs keep going up. So they attract the majority of the footfalls and are able to hold rents and enjoy very high occupancies. But on the other hand, those other malls that are not able to attract these footfalls, these would suffer and be more heavily impacted by e-commerce. Yeah, so it's not the end of a brick and mortar because ultimately people still want to go out and socialize, right? But there'll be a more, I would say, talent-driven. I mean, there'll be more like F&B and all that, which is what we are already seeing even before COVID.
Can I add on?
Yes.
I add on? I'm not a retail expert, but from my personal observation in the marketplace, you will see people like VivoCity, Nexa, your Junction 8. All these are very well managed malls, especially by Capital Mall as well as. So this one, the footfall remains high. But the malls that I think will suffer. This is my personal opinion. Okay, please don't quote me when you go out and say your mall is going to fail if you have people staying. Far East Plaza, to me, I think it's a mall that is, number one is strata. Number two, it has falling footfall. Okay, because
Thomas, you're too old already. That's why you don't like Far East Plaza. If you're a bit younger, you will like Far East Plaza.
Yeah, so I think that strata malls I think tend to suffer a little bit post-COVID. I would think so because number one, e-commerce is really striking them. The major malls I think still can make it in my opinion. They just need to make sure their tenant mix is good. And you can see lots and lots of F&B, because you don't like to shop, you want to buy your clothes online, that's fine. But you still need to eat, right? So we still need to go to the malls to eat, that's my 2 cents worth,
Okay. I think we have a very interesting question as well from Louis and William. I think it's pretty much along the same lines. So their question is asking whether we will actually see lesser expats since many industries are affected by global crisis. And also, do you foresee a large pool of expats losing their job due to COVID-19? Naicha, you available to take on the question?
Yeah. So in terms of aspects, I think definitely, because when we think about aspect, it's also very complex because the recruitment issues may be very different because their contracts may be such that if they are subject to unions in overseas, like UK unions or those kind of things. So it may not be so straightforward that we see expats who drop. But what we may see is that there may be fewer recruitment, fewer people recruitment of new expats. Now, the key thing is that what do we think after this COVID-19 is gone? I think there will be a lot of demand of jobs in Southeast Asia, this region. So we may see a revival of this growth in expats, but probably after the recovery. But at this point in time, I don't see the number of expat job cuts so immediate yet. Probably still stay as it is.
Okay, that's good. I guess Joanne, you asked whether the resale market is heading. I think from the research, what the research has been sharing, it's very, very clear to us where the market is heading. And I think the sentiments on the ground, especially from everybody that you all have shared, that you all feel that the market is going to be going down, right? Okay, there's actually, through a question to me, Bruce mentioned about high net worth thinking on adjusting their portfolio to include essential services. How does it relate to real estate? Oh, very simply. Some high net worth clients, maybe their portfolio consists of maybe a lot of retail investments and things like that. What they would probably want to relook at is that today, actually for us, many of us never knew what was essential service. I always thought, right, personally, that real estate is essential, but unfortunately, I was proven wrong. We are actually not essential. Okay, but first and foremost, they given the guidelines from this COVID-19, my take is that the essential services has been clearly identified. Those services that you see still ongoing, day-to-day lives, they still require. So that's what happens when it's all these high net worth that don't even have any stake in the game. They will want to put themselves and put their investments to ensure that if this happens again, something like on this scale, pandemic happens again, they are at least one of the investments is covered and they're still generating income. Okay, so I hope I answer your questions. I do see 2 questions about cloud kitchens. Industrial properties might be seeing, Charmaine has asked, industrial properties might be seeing some light with logistics space, cloud kitchens, emerging industries. Given the supply in our market, do you think demand will be pushed up? Will it push up the prices? Okay, do you see these sectors attracting more buyers and renters? And Ripton as well, who has asked to share more information on the concept of cloud kitchens. Sen Yang, would you like to share with us your expertise?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so maybe I just answer what are cloud kitchens. So really, cloud kitchens, they are shared kitchen spaces, right? Where they lease out kitchen spaces to like F&B. So it's like sort of co-working, but in a kitchen space. Right, and these cloud kitchens, they are really optimized for delivery only, right? So, like, let's say I'm an F&B player, I can lease a kitchen space, right? Some places they will even provide all the equipment, kitchen equipment, so I don't need to set it up all myself. So as an F&B player, I save on startup costs, and all I need to do is I guess bring the chef, bring the recipe, and I can leverage on the delivery platform to distribute my food, as in, so I will be based on the online orders, and this concept could gain more traction. I mean, given now, I mean, there's a lot more exposure to online deliveries due to the circuit breaker period. So that, in essence, is what cloud kitchen is. So and there are pros and cons to this concept. So I guess the pros is the initial cost is low, much lower as compared to leasing out a F&B space. You need to buy all the equipment, etc. But I guess the one of the cons, the main cons for this kind of thing is you won't have that much personal interaction with your customers, right? Unlike a normal F&B retail space where you can interact with your customer, gain their customer loyalty. I suppose if you go to Cloud Kitchen, your customers will actually have to go through the platform and come to you. So it's a bit hard to, customer loyalty may not be there. So in terms of whether prices and rents will come up due to this demand, I would say, I think overall prices and rents may still come down. I mean, given that, global trade is down and the whole thing would still pressure prices lower. But yeah, at the same time, it could show more resilience as compared to like the offices and also the retail because of this, due to logistics and also due to the biomedical sector. Yep.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks for answering. I hope that answered your question, Charmaine and Ripton. Okay, I think with this, we pretty much come to the end of our online seminar. Hope all of you have found this very beneficial. So extend a very, very big thank you. Big thank you to Dr. Lee, to Sen Yang, to Thomas, as well as the entire SEA backend team for your time. I think we look forward to seeing you at our future events as well. So with that, we're signing off. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.